Okay, I believe I am live here. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to, there was something that happened today for me that highlighted a point that I think is really important for us to remember. And that's that usually where growth lies, we don't really want to go. And I think it's really important that we just be really honest with ourselves about that. Where your growth lies, where my growth lies, I usually don't want to go, period. Now, when I can be that honest with myself, then I can know when I hit that edge of like, oh, but I don't want this, or I think I want this, right? I can know that there's reward for me in facing and moving through this thing. So uh, I'm not going to go into the details of my experience today, but I will say more. If you are watching and you want to say hello, please do. And or of course, if you have comments, questions, concerns as I go, please do speak up or type up. Okay, so for me today, this came about where there was something I wanted. I wanted something, and it had. I knew I was off because it had that tone. It was like, I want this. And there was a little bit of this energy of like, in the archetype work, we'd call it child, right? Of like, but I want the thing and I want it now. And so that was my first hint of, Ruth, there's something off here. So that's the first place where I get to be honest with myself. And thankfully, I have excellent support to help me do that, right? So I can right away go into that place where I receive support and say, okay, I notice myself wanting this. I notice myself at the same time feeling a sort of a hook or an attachment to getting it. I know if there's that quality in my wanting, something's off. So that's the first place where I get to be honest with myself. And of course, what my system, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be honest with myself about that because I feel like if I admit that I'm off, I am not going to get what I want, right? So you can see the way we get ourselves into these catch-22s, right? It's like my system's kind of like, but that thing, I want it. And so, and yet I also know better. I know that, that I probably actually can have the thing. This is how I talked myself out of it. I probably actually can have the thing if I'm willing to let it go. I'm actually much more likely to get it, A, and then B, have it in a way that's constructive, right? And I also know better so that in that moment of, I want it, there's, that's trouble. I do know that that's trouble. So thankfully I could pause. I could share that, which was already a sort of like wrench in the gears of the like, but I want it. It's like, wait, hang on, stop the machine, put the wrench in the gears, and then pause. And then it was for me to really be honest about, okay, I know that there's attachment in my desire right now. I know there's attachment in my desire. And as much as a big part of me just wants to grab the thing I really want, I know there's actually greater reward for me in not doing that, in actually looking at, what I want, what I really, really want is the gem underneath that craving. Because underneath that craving is a place where I'm externalizing my power, right? I'm externalizing my power and my sense of well-being to having this, and so this gem underneath is the real greater reward that I get to have. That's awesome. So, so also it's an opportunity for me to reconnect with that knowing. That also gives me the strength to then look at the dynamic more closely, saying, no, okay, I want this gem as much as I also want this thing. I want this gem. I want to see this the way I am being impelled into action out of some sort of deficiency, because I know that deficiency is a lie and yet is alive in my system right now. And so I get to look at that. And so I did. And I go looking by kind of being like, okay, well, here's what my mind is telling me. Here's what my mind is telling me. Here's what I'm afraid I'll lose. Here's why. And then eventually, in kind of playing with all the pieces of the puzzle, I hit the feeling. And for me, today it was a fear of losing something that I value. And as soon as I can hit the feeling, and that's, you could say that feeling, that fear of losing something that I value, you could say that that's trauma, right? That's a stored trauma in my system of a time when that happened, where my system in that moment felt, I'm going to say powerless, or felt like didn't understand the I'm also going to say this, and it's only partially true, but didn't understand that moment of reality was actually serving me. So anyways, the important thing is that I wasn't able to process the fullness of that feeling in the moment for whatever reason. So it's locked in my system as a kind of internalized, unconscious, reactive, emotional, physiological pattern that this event triggered. And then okay, so I get to the feeling. Now I know when I'm at the feeling, I'm at the good goods, because then as I can be present to myself, through that feeling, and kind of unearth some of the storylines that might be interconnected with it, and just stay present to the feeling and let the tears fall, and stay present to the feeling and let the tears fall. Breathing through the feeling, then the fear of that loss and that pain associated with that loss that I was trying to avoid by getting the thing, that root, that kind of root of pain that was impelling the action, gets healed at least a little bit more, And so then I can breathe. Then I can actually be present to the situation with a lot more spaciousness, and then I can actually take the action in relation to the situation that is actually going to serve me and this other person far, far more. So that was a long-winded story about what happened to me today. But the point there is, I didn't want, in the initial moments, I really didn't want to see that whole thing. I didn't want all that. I just wanted the thing I wanted, right? I just wanted the thing I wanted, because it was gonna unconsciously solve the problem, whatever that problem was, which is, that's a whole other story. So, and I just had a moment later today being like, wow, I am so grateful for the support I have that reminds me to do that, and that I have enough trust and faith in, that I can use as an anchor of like, hang on, because it was also, I wanted something a little bit different than what they were suggesting. And I could feel, I just sort of wanted to sidestep what they were suggesting I do. I just wanted to sort of be like, yeah. And then just kind of sidestep and get what I wanted. And yet I have so much trust in that, and I know that at the least I cannot lose by looking more deeply. So then I won. I won the experience of getting to meet the deeper pain that was steering the ship in that moment. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's it from here. I would really invite anybody and everybody watching, whoever is watching, if you want to put in the chat where you feel you are, where are you, hang on, how to phrase this question. Where are you not being honest with yourself about where you don't really want to see the motivation underneath your desire for the thing? So that's one question that one could reflect on out of this that I trust could yield some fruit. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave that here. Thank you for watching, if you are watching. And yeah, let me know what comes up for you. And have a beautiful evening. Bye for now.